I'm drinking one last beer, and I put the beer down on the Bible, and I pick up this pistol, and I put it in my head, and I just started to cry. My name is Billy Weatherall. I grew up Bossier City, Louisiana, went to Airline High School, graduated in 2000. Growing up, I was adopted by my grandparents, and they were the old school, hardworking people. Me and very Christian. We went to church every Wednesday, Sunday morning, Sunday evening. On the weekends, we do like Bible trivia. I was just all about the Word growing up. Knew it in my mind, but I never knew it in my heart, and it was just the way I grew up. So during high school, I kind of played the game. I knew that telling my grandma and quoting scripture is going to make her happy. And again, I just always knew it in my mind. I never knew Jesus with my heart. So 2000, I joined the military right out of high school. I joined the Army, infantry, because I'd see the commercials on TV. I was like, man, that's what I wanted to do. So I did it. Went to Fort Benning, Georgia. Did a whole bunch of high-speed schools after basic training, and then I got deployed up to Fort Drum, New York. And when I was talking to my recruiter, I told him, I said, take them as far away from Louisiana as you can. So I went all the way from Louisiana all the way up to upstate New York. I got to upstate New York at the beginning of 2001, and the military was everything that I ever thought it would be. Chasing women, shooting guns, working out all the time. I was living the life. And then my life radically changed. That was on September 11th, 2001. We were the very first unit deployed, and we got orders. And I remember a colonel standing in front of our battalion, and he's saying, guys, we're going to war. This is going to be the first thing that we've done in a long time, and our country needs us. So I'm on the phone with my grandparents. I'm on the phone with my mom, and and I'm getting ready for war. We don't know where we're going. We don't even know who has attacked the trade centers, but we know, we're going to defend this country. So we go to Dover Air Force Base and get on a C-130, and we go overseas, and the colonel stands up, and he's like, guys, we're going to Afghanistan. And he holds up a picture, and he says, we're looking for this man. It was bin Laden. And 20 years old, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I've never even heard of Afghanistan before. I didn't know a place existed. I've never heard of a guy named bin Laden. Boots on the ground in Uzbekistan, and we stage. And then we go and we fight in the Shai-Kot Valley, Operation Anaconda. So this mission was supposed to be about 2-3 days long. And we dropped pamphlets in this valley, and we said the American soldiers are coming. And we were just going to destroy training camps is what was supposed to happen. So when we get there, we fly in on CH-47 Chinooks, and the door gunner starts to shoot, and my hands start shaking. I'm 20 years old, and man, reality hits me. I was like, man, I cannot believe it. The movies that I've seen, and my grandparents always talking like I'm in war. This is it. So this 2-day mission ends up being a 2-week mission. They can't fly us out because we're stuck behind enemy lines. And just some bad things happened to that. I was seeing CAS every day, close air support, and seeing the action of the Apaches and B-52, C-130 Spectre gunships, F-16s. I'm close up, and just calling in these bombs, getting these bombs called in. And as we're walking over the battlefield, I'm looking at soldiers, and I would think that we have a picture of this enemy is, big, bad, and evil. But I remember looking at the bodies and just seeing young boys, younger than me, 13 and 14 years old. And then it hit me. It's just like, man, this is not really what I expected it to be. And seeing the casualties of war and just the collateral of war. One night I'm on watch, and I have a command launch unit. It's called a CLU. And I had gone to school to work this night vision, thermal imaging. So at night I would stand guard, and I was really the eyes. I could see everything in the valley because I had this sophisticated technology. So my unit would depend on me as I'd scan the area. And one night we saw this little building, and just saw some thermal images in this building. And I called it in. I called it up on the radio, and I was like, hey, look, I don't know who it is. I don't know what it is, but I know that if you weren't wearing an American patch on your sleeve during this operation, you were considered an enemy. So I called in this moving. I was like, hey, at 600 meters, 12 o'clock, I see this building. I was like, thermal images inside of it. And they said, well, look, let's hold fire. In the morning at first light, we'll light it up. Hey, roger that. So I'll watch it all night, make sure that that whoever's in this building wasn't coming out. So the next morning, shot it up with the M240, called in mortar rounds to it. And as I'm overwatching, and I got binos, I see 3 of my buddies go down to the building. They go in the building, they get a sit rep, and as soon as they come out, man, I just know something's wrong. Like, I'm calling up on the radio, hey, what's the situation? Man, I'm listening to see if they'd give us, an updated status. And they don't say anything. Man, like the mic is down. I could just tell that their weapons are down. I knew something bad had happened. And they come up, and man, I was like, hey, what happened, man? What's the deal? And they're like, Bill, hey, that whole building was just full of children. And man, that's just kind of where everything changed. Didn't say anything. It's just, that's what war is. Don't say anything. And the next night I'm on guard, and man, I woke up, I'm so cold, and I'm just tired, I'm hungry, I'm miserable. And somebody's waking me up for guard, and I wipe my watch off, and I look at my watch, and I just turned 21 years old. And I just started to cry. And I said, man, my friends are in college, they're out partying, they're sleeping in a warm bed, they're having food, and I'm stuck. And if there's hell on earth, I'm on it. I'm on hell on earth. And so after Operation Anaconda, we come back, man, guys are just falling like flies. I mean, guys are getting kicked out of the Army. Guys start to slowly take their lives. And my unit comes back, and they're like, man, we don't know what to do with these guys. They're young. They're kind of out of control. So we get orders, and we go to Africa. Worked on the Red Sea with the Navy SEALs, and did on-boat patrols and guarded the border of Somalia. So come back from Africa after an 18-month deployment. And that's my 4 years in the Army. Like, I'm done. I'm ready to put the uniform up and just move on with life. I had plans never to talk to anybody. It's just, I was a good soldier, man, did what I had to do. But man, I was just ready to bury that part of my life. So about 2 days from getting out of the Army, I'm so pumped up. I've got all the answers to the problems I got. I'm enrolled in college here in Louisiana. Had helped my sister buy a house back here. Man, I cannot wait to get back home. And I was thinking, man, if I could just get back home and hold, my grandparents' hands and pray over dinner and, man, just be back. I said, everything will be changed and everything will be perfect. So 2 days before getting out, I got orders to go to Iraq. My first sergeant calls me in, and he tells me, just like, Weatherall, can't lose you. We're going to Iraq, and man, I'm gonna have to stop loss you. And just looking tough, I was like, oh, yes, sir, I'll be there. And I just went up to my room, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't think I can mentally take another deployment. And I don't think I can just physically or mentally handle it. But all the guys are so pumped up. I'm going to Iraq with them. So go to Iraq, another 18-month deployment. Man, I'm one of the head gunners in the unit. Man, and after that deployment, man, I'm just mentally gone. I remember the first time I was in combat, man, my hands were just shaking. I didn't know what to do. Man, towards the end of Iraq, man, I'm just sitting on a gun, man, and I'm just, man, itching for somebody to pick up a cell phone and an IED goes off, or somebody just to shoot at me. Man, I was, man, just battle hardened. Everything had just kind of changed. So I come back home, 6 years in the military is done, and I remember the first time that I had gone to Afghanistan, there's a chaplain walking around as we're going into combat, and he's praying with everybody. And he's like, man, if anybody wants one of these camouflage Bibles, he's like, you got to get one. He's like, man, I got plenty of them. I want you guys to have them. So in Afghanistan, I took this Bible. Never had a relationship, man, never talked to God outside of being home. And again, man, I only knew God with my mind. I never knew him with my heart. But I thought in Afghanistan, I was like, man, if something happens to me, and I put this camouflage Bible in my backpack, man, in my rucksack, I said, man, if I die, maybe God will let me into heaven. So Afghanistan, had this thing, bottom of my rucksack. Same thing, I go to Africa. I look at this camouflage Bible, I put it in the bottom of my rucksack. In Iraq, I took this Bible, put it in the bottom of my rucksack, and I carried with me the whole time. So I go back home, and man, I'm empty. Guys, I mean, my friends are killing themselves left and right. I've lost friends in combat, man, just carrying a lot of weight on my shoulders. And I come back and I'm working at a construction company, and this guy just starts to cuss me out. And I remember thinking to myself, he's like, man, you don't even know how to sweep a house, and just yelling at me and screaming at me. And in the back of my head, I was like, dude, you have no clue who you're talking to. You've had no clue the things that I've done for this country and the men that I've worked with and the men that have laid their lives down so that you could do this job. So same night, I heard my sister on the phone with my mom, and she's like, Billy is miserable. He's, drinking a lot. I was drinking, I was doing drugs, I was doing coke, man, I'm just wrapped up in the world. And she goes, man, I'm just so concerned about Billy. So that night I made up a decision. I was tired of being a burden to people. I was tired of slowing people down. I was like, you know what, man, I'm just gonna kill myself. So one thing about me is I've always, if I've made my mind up to do something, I've done it. I've always been a man of my word, man, and even before I was a Christian, man, if I tell you something, I want you to be able to take it to the bank and cash it. So, man, I'm determined, and man, that's it. Man, if I say it, I'm gonna do it, and that's it. So I had used this camouflage Bible during this period of my life as a coaster. I would put my beers on top of the Bible, and just, I was mad at God at this point in my life, and just, seeing some bad things, done some bad things, some stuff that I was ashamed of, that I'm still ashamed of. But, I put my beer on this Bible because I thought, man, if God is real and that this man really does exist, I've got a lot of questions to ask him. When I kneel before him, I had a lot of questions I want to ask him. So I'm drinking one last beer, and I put the beer down on the Bible, and I pick up this pistol, and I put it in my head. And as I got the pistol in my head, I looked down at this Bible, and I just started to cry. And I said, God, if you're real, I said, if you're really real, I'll give you my life. Whatever you ask me to do, I said, I'll do it. I said, but I need joy in my life. I want to be able to live again. And I just started to cry. I just broke down looking at the Bible and crying and passed out. So the next morning, I wake up and just get a random phone call from a guy. He said, Billy, I've been thinking about you. I've been praying for you. I'd like to invite you to this Promise Keeper seminar. And it was in Dallas, Texas, in the American Airlines Center. So I go to a Promise Keeper seminar the next day, and I give my heart over to the Lord that night. And ever since that point, I've never looked back. It's not that my life has just, it's unexplainable. Man, the Spirit filled me, and everything about me changed. I really became a new creation. And people started to talk. They're like, man, Billy's just going through a phase, and this is something Billy's going through. But 2 weeks turned into 2 months. 2 months turned into 2 years. And I never picked up a bottle after that. I never went back to drugs after that. Now, I still did struggle with some things in my life, but man, I was so convicted about it. Like, I wanted to give God more and more of my life. I wanted to please him because I was so indebted to him. Because I did. And for the first time in my life, I had joy back. I had peace back. I could go to sleep at night. So my life is going great. I go to school. I get educated. I meet my wife, beautiful knockout. I have a little girl. I'm working oil and gas, and I slowly started to create my own oil and gas company. So I'm making money. I'm tithing my money. I'm going on mission trips all around the world. I'm going to the Philippines. I'm going to Mexico. I'm going to Africa. I'm going to Russia. I'm traveling all around the world and telling people about the gospel. So in 2011, God calls me to walk away from everything. And I had this gym inside of my house, and I'd actually been doing it for a couple of years. And before I got saved, I had a gym in my sister's house, and guys would come over, they'd drink beers, we'd smoke a cigarette. Well, after I got saved in 2006, I told the guys, I was like, hey guys, instead of bringing alcohol and partying, I said, let's do Bible devotions. And they're like, oh, okay, it's kind of weird, but I did it. So I started doing Bible devotions. I started doing the gym in 2006, and it's always been my jam. And I moved a couple of times after that and had a house, and my wife and I got married, and at 5:30 p.m. in this little neighborhood, 20, 30 people would be at my house working out, man, where it got so big that I got the homeowners association calling me, and they're like, Bill, you cannot have that many people at your house. People can't get to their homes when they get off work. If there's an emergency vehicle, they're like, you can't do it anymore. And God was just on my mind, and he just kept telling me, he's just like, Billy, man, I have a plan for you. I have a plan for you. You made a deal with me October 1st of 2006, and he's like, man, I'm ready for you to answer that calling. He says, I want you to leave everything that you're doing. I want you to walk away from oil and gas. I want you to walk away from the military. I want you to walk away from everything. And I want you to do this gym full time. And I want it to be donations only. And man, you're talking about a hard calling. Man, just a dagger in my heart. Choo. So in my mind, I was like, there's no way I can do that. There's no way I can do that. And I struggled. And God told me for a year, he's just like, Billy, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. Man, and I just kept running from him. I'm like, God, that's not going to work. Well, man, God started to take away everything from me slowly. Man, oil and gas dried up, Haynesville Shale, lost all my money. So a year later, I'm sitting on my couch. I got a little girl, and for the first time ever, man, I can't take care of my family. I can't pay my mortgage. I get on my hands and knees. And man, the first time I ever thought about going back to the bottle, first time I thought about it, and I was just like, man, you know, God, you've abandoned me. I've been faithful. I've done everything that you wanted me to do, man. I gave up this. And he's like, man, I want you to do Christfit gym. And I just cried out to God. I was like, okay. I was like, well, I'm going to show you exactly how it's not going to work. I went to the bank, and I'm telling my family, I'm telling my friends, I'm telling my pastors at that time. I'm like, guys, this is what I'm going to do. And everybody's like, man, that's a horrible idea. Man, I tell my wife, and I'm like, Julie, this is what God's calling me to do. And she's like, man, I'm with you, Billy. I will stand beside you. She's like, I know God is calling us to do something bigger. I know he's calling us to do something great. So my wife stands beside me the whole time, and we do the gym. I mean, we go to the bank. I get the money to start the gym, and man, I haven't looked back ever since. So, man, since then, God has just continues to bless me. Man, I continue to be faithful to the Lord, and man, what I struggle with, man, is my faith. It's not that great. I promise you, because this gym is just as hard to run today as it was the first day I opened it up. Man, you talk about complete trust and just having faith that God is going to supply. We run a $52,000 a month budget at this gym now. We have over 25 employees. We have a thrift store that you know, is able to supply and you know, we sell stuff. We also give a lot of stuff away as like donations. So that's able to help us out in the community. We have, man, just hundreds and hundreds of people that come in and out of here. My wife was a full-time nurse when I started the gym. Now she works at a smoothie shop here connected to the gym. So we got a little smoothie shop. And just God continues to bless us and continue to grow us. And man, and God is just always reminding me. It's just every month when I'm like, God, where are you at? Where are you at? God is just saying, Bill, when have I never not supplied for you? When have I never not given you what you needed? And there's just been periods of my life, man, where I'm on my hands and knees every day. And it's just like, God, I need you, I need you, I need you. Can't you just give me more? Can't you just, you know, help me out here, help me out here? And God always responds back. It's just like, Bill, I've got you right where I want you. And that's completely dependent, completely relying on me, man, on my hands and knees. So that's where God's got me. And you know what, if that's where God wants me the rest of my life, you know, it's going to be hard to say, but man, I'll be there, because man, serving God makes no sense. It makes no sense. This gym makes no sense. The things that we continue to do really makes no sense. And people want to know what the trick is. You know, I don't have a lot of money saved up. You know, I had nothing to start this gym, but just my faith with the Lord. So this place is just a modern day miracle. And I get to see God move in people's lives each and every day. Man, hundreds of people have come to know Christ through this gym. And this is just silly. You know, this is silly, man. Physical fitness has a position in my life, man. It has a place in my life, but it's right underneath God. It's underneath my family, meaning it's down there. You know, and our mission statement here is 1 Timothy 4:8. It says physical training is important, man. It's important to take care of your body. But godliness is most important, because that's what lasts today. That's what lasts tomorrow. That's what lasts forever. And that's what I tell people here all the time. It's just like, man, I don't have to shove Jesus down your throat, because he'll do it himself. All I need you to do is be still and listen, and to seek him. It says, if you seek him, you will find him. I'm Billy Weatherall, and that's my story.